Angela.
Deanna.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the end of our second month.
Can you believe it?
Kind of. I'm excited about our second recap today.
Me too. I think it's a chance for, no, we've already said that in the introduction. I really don't know what we're doing. Welcome to the Morning Share. This is our space for honest conversation, shared wisdom, and the slow work of becoming whole.
And today we're doing something we'll continue to do at the end of each month. We're pausing. Not to move faster, but to notice, to reflect, and to gather what mattered.
This month, we've explored routines, curiosity, and connection. And what we've discovered is that these aren't separate ideas. They're deeply intertwined.
So today we'll revisit what surfaced from our conversations, from our guest, and from you.
So what would you say is the biggest thing you've learned? What's the biggest takeaway you have from the first 2 months of the podcast?
Oh.
Either something that's blown you away, something you've learned, just anything these first 2 months.
I have two thoughts.
Okay.
The first one would be how I didn't anticipate it to be so intense. Like the working out of the content, and I was sharing with my family about how it's not just like we just research information and then pass it on. It's like we're actually like living these things out. And then what we share with you it's really like our experience.
Yeah.
And then my second one, I think, would be how encouraging it's been to hear from listeners about what it's doing in them.
Yeah, for sure.
You?
I think your number 2 point is probably my number one, that you can't lie, that if you start something like this, that there are parts of me that want to know it resonates with somebody. That's the whole point of us doing this, obviously. But when you actually do get a text, you see something on social media, read a comment on a platform, I mean, it is a moment where you're just, and especially if it's somebody you didn't anticipate would be listening.
Yes.
Or I've been reminded about just how fortunate both of us have been to create friendships outside of the United States.
So what are we going to do today?
Well, we are going to recap. You see, that's the title it says on my page.
That's exactly what, yeah.
Episode 20. But I think what's so exciting to hear is as we do these episodes, we're going back, obviously, which is what we want. And we want to hit the highlights, maybe point out some funny moments or some things maybe we wish we had spent a little bit longer time on, reflections we've had since the recording. We want to highlight comments we've received from listeners and how our episodes have impacted them and the subject matters have resonated with them. And then we're going to do something we've never done before. Dun, dun, dun. What are we doing?
We're going to have a guest.
Our first guest.
That's right.
Yes.
And you're not going to want to miss this.
Yeah, you're going to want to stay to the very end to hear what they have to say.
That's right.
Yeah. So, we ready to get started?
I think we are.
Okay. We can't emphasize enough how desperately we want to promote a community and conversation.
Yeah.
So when we hear comments on the episodes, whether you, like I said, whether you text us, you comment on a platform or that you've listened to it on, you reach out to us on social media, whatever that looks like, that just helps us to remember it's a two-way street. So we're learning from you, just like hopefully you're learning from us.
Well, and I think it encourages us to continue.
That what we're doing has some impact on a greater voice.
Anyway, what we're trying to say is thank you for reaching out and for sharing what is resonating with you.
Yeah.
Because it matters.
Yeah. So we've heard very specific phrases that have been on repeat.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of our favorites?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is it seems like you have made us part of your daily rhythm, whether that's your commute to work or while you're getting ready in the morning, making your coffee. And that is such a high compliment. And we found this out because actually maybe we didn't communicate something well last month about our recap episode, where we'll explain that later. Anyway, so then we heard from you. We're like, it was on Wednesday. I was like, where are you guys? I thought maybe today wasn't Wednesday because you were missing us. And that was really sweet to hear.
Absolutely. I think too, people giving us very specific ways or specific episodes or topics that we've talked about in an episode that it made them think about it. Number one, maybe it changed the way they thought about something. And then furthermore, that they acted upon that change in their own family or work environments.
Yep.
That's pretty exciting stuff.
And something else specific that one of our listeners said was that what a huge help in the journey of becoming a contributing part of humanity. Just so awesome to hear that you're listening and becoming part of the greater conversation.
Yeah. So specifically, we heard from a father who had listened to the boundary episode and shared with us that he was actually implementing it made him think, and then he was implementing some new techniques even in his own family, which, yes.
This is awesome.
Yes.
And I can't wait to hear how it's fleshing out, like when that person notices the impact that decision is having.
Yes.
I'm really excited to hear about that.
Yes.
Here's the thing. We're trying to build in a sustainable rhythm for ourselves and also model a way of being.
Yeah.
And so on the last week of every month, we hope to have some sort of episode like this, either a recap or resource, something that will only release once that week.
Yeah.
And so what that does is it gives us time to rest and reflect, and in turn, hopefully gives you time to listen and reflect on the month.
Or to catch up. Or to catch up on episodes that you may have either missed altogether or want to go back and re-listen to.
Yeah.
And share with somebody else in your sphere.
Yep.
So, I think it's good for, hopefully good rhythm for all of us.
So something else that happened this month.
Yes.
Was our very first giveaway.
Yeah, we gave away David Rico's book, How to Be an Adult.
Yes.
So that was monumental for us.
And we hope to be giving more things away in the coming months. So this is another way of it being cultivating a conversation.
Yeah.
So hopefully these things that we are giving away are helping you.
The whole point of the giveaway was that we could share resources, that we could share with you guys, and the whole ecosystem of the morning share works better when we're actually sharing. Yeah. So it means it's reciprocal. We want to give to you guys, but we're also asking for you to engage with us via conversations, polls. That's why we put all those on social media. That's why we ask questions, is because we really do want to stay in conversation.
Yeah. Good point. I think a big part of this episode is practicing reflecting. So in reflecting over the past month, there were a couple things that happened.
Yeah.
And one was, I guess we can start on the serious note.
Okay.
I realized that I missed an opportunity in our connection, one of our connection episodes last week, where the question was, where have you felt simplified or been simplified? And not being really willing to risk vulnerability, I went with the shallower option of being kind of labeled as or simplified as an Enneagram 9. So I want to be aware of that. I want to name it and then be more aware going forward of like, I don't want to miss out on those opportunities to be vulnerable with you as the listeners and with you as my co-host.
Yeah.
So it's a little reflection.
We have so many of these reflections after we're done, both like funny and serious. And so I appreciate that. And we're still, I think if anything else, it just revealed that you and I are still in the process.
Always.
Of, it's one thing to be vulnerable with each other. It's another thing to be vulnerable over a podcast that goes to who knows who.
Mm-hmm.
My reflection was more on the funny side.
Yes, it was.
I am so prone in these moments, being the wordy co-host, to just make analogies or use metaphors that sound good in my head. And yet when I actually go to articulate them on the podcast, they don't always come across. And so we have blooper reel after blooper reel of me saying things that do not need to be said on the public platform. So a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about connection, and I likened it to a plug, that everybody had a plug looking for a hole to put the plug in. And then I realized that did not sound appropriate, nor did it sound like I wanted it to sound in my head or that would resonate with listeners. So you're welcome for that, not making the A roll.
But maybe you'll see it. It'll show up in a B roll someday.
We also, I think one of the things both of us kind of groaned about after we had finished recording was we had discovered, in just thinking through and materials that we read on a regular basis, we saw a poem referenced by the poet Rumi called The Great Wagon. And there is this phenomenal one sentence in there, an image that just stuck with us and that guided so much of our conversation, even if we didn't quote the actual line from the poem. And so we wanted to read that. So Deanna, in your amazing voice, would you read the quote for us?
The pressure's on. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there.
I actually have a Post-it note of this quote in my office that I look at frequently to try to remind myself that out past the noise of who's right, who's wrong, my opinion versus your opinion, there is a broader space that may just be a little more quiet, but it also, we may be able to push through and find connection.
Yeah. I just love the imagery of the field where there's not much to cling to. There's not really much to point to. It's just really an invitation of presence. Yeah. Of being.
Yeah. We actually discussed having in our minds this image of a field, a wide open field, that there was just a random wooden table with a ton of chairs around it, where it's not my space or your space. It's not my side or your side. It's just pull up a chair.
Yeah.
We're out here. There are no walls that prohibit us from having a conversation.
Yeah.
We're just all humans.
I love it.
Yeah.
And ultimately, in the context of connection, like we're pushing past the need to defend, to find a label, to simplify, to make judgments about.
Yeah.
We're pushing past all of that to get to the table.
Yeah.
To sit across someone. And I think that the imagery of the table and the field is just so beautiful. I don't know if we want to use this here either, but we were reading Mark Nepo the other morning, and he was talking about beliefs and how we should look or can reframe the idea of belief into something we give our heart to. And I think that would be a good question to sit in for a minute of what am I believing now? Like if you are needing certainty, or you have to have certainty, then ask yourself, what am I giving my heart to? Or what are the things I believe? And then can I say, am I giving my heart to those things? That's even a good evaluation.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to say, I believe in yada, yada, yada. But then how is that showing up in your life?
Exactly.
And if a belief is giving your heart to something, then do you really believe it? So,
yeah.
And then think, what is it that I want to give my heart to?
I think you mentioned something very important that I'm trying to notice in my own life is, do my behaviors, does my outward expression align with the words that I'm saying?
Yep.
Because I can say something all day long, but if my actions don't reflect that, then something's amiss. We grew up hearing actions speak louder than words. We may need to hear that again. Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
So I think there is alignment there that has to continually be refocused on, re-examined, we reevaluate.
Yep.
We realign.
The
and
3
we
Rs.
re-engage. Sound familiar? So yeah, I think that's so valuable. Can you flesh out a little bit more of what you were talking about with the whys? Like that 5 why principle. What does that look like?
Yeah, when we were thinking about this episode, I mentioned this technique called the 5 whys. And it was developed years ago by someone in the Toyota Motor Corporation. And ultimately, they were using it to try to get to a solution. But before they could get to the solution, they had to understand the problem. And so often we rush to a solution or a conclusion by just asking one why. But there's so much more to be discovered underneath more whys.
Yeah.
And so what you do is, you pose a problem. Well, I don't feel good today. Why? I didn't get good sleep last night. Why? Because my mind was racing about what had to be accomplished today. Why? Because I was worried that I might not have time to make it through everything. Are we to 5 whys yet? Or is that 4?
I think that's only 4.
Okay. Why? Because I've set a list in my mind of what has to be accomplished. You can go to 6 or 7 whys.
Yeah.
The point is you're trying to reveal what it is, what's the meaning underneath. And then often when you get to the meaning, you can solve the problem.
Yeah.
So how does that work with what we're talking about with connection?
First of all, it gives us opportunity to look inward before automatically rushing to an external something to blame.
Yep.
2, it gives us self-awareness through that practice. We don't depend so much on just superficial answers that usually protect my ego. And once I get to a more authentic answer, I'm able to then have kindness, compassion, and understanding for somebody else and see past their surface level excuses. And then you can ask them kindly and compassionately, okay, why? Why? Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. It's hard work. Goes back to your mind in the deep.
That's right. That's where I love to be.
Yeah.
I think we would want to pose to you a question of what's one thing, what's one even small shift that as a result of these conversations we've been having this past month, what's one small shift that you've made that you're walking out in your daily life?
So also interwoven in our episodes this past month, We had some incredible frameworks and graphics and hopefully tools that are going to help you visually see what we're talking about. I loved your graphic this past month of the 3 R's. What are the 3 R's?
Reevaluate, realign, and then re-engage.
Yeah. So we're trying to practice that even throughout this podcast.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Doing here today, right?
Yeah. The second thing we created this month was what we call the Clarity and Action Framework. We developed that in order to help you determine where you currently are and articulate that, where you'd like to go, and how to get there. And so it's a framework that you can download free on our website. And hopefully that'll be some help to you.
Absolutely. And then we also want to spend time talking about Substack. We know you have probably been hearing us put in some plugs from time to time on Instagram and here in the episodes. But Substack is really something we're going to shift our emphasis to.
Our hope is that you listen on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, that's where we put the conversation starter on the table. And we give our thoughts about that.
Mm-hmm.
But then Substack is where we share personal insights of how individually Dee and I are thinking through and wrestling with these topics, how we're practicing in this season, those topics on a deeper level. You'll hear some funny quips and even maybe a video here or there, bonus content. But we're really ultimately wanting you to then engage us in that platform and be able to comment. Tell us your thoughts. Tell us how you're working out. It's our time to be quiet and listen to you. And that builds community.
You know, I was thinking, really, it's the digital word version of the table. So welcome to the table. Have a seat.
Yeah.
Join us there.
Well, so we have our very first ever live conversation on the Morning Share today. And it just so happens to be with one of my favorite people on the planet, my husband, Keith. So glad you're here today.
Good to be here. I think.
We'll find out.
Yeah. So yeah, who could it have been but Keith?
Yeah.
I feel like you've been a huge supporter of the Morning Share, us personally and individually, as well as the Morning Share from the very get-go, the conception of it, as well as one of the OG participants in the real Morning Share downstairs on the couch or the side porch or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You've been a good sport to tag along and participate in the conversations. So we're thankful for that. Wow. So how does it feel to be the very first ever live conversation?
Epic.
Good.
Yeah.
How would you introduce Keith?
Brother from another mother.
That's exactly what the words were exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. Biggest supporter of the Morning Share in more ways than one. Champion. I always look forward to hearing stories when the two of them go to an event or something of how many people that Keith connects us with. And there's only one person who could be our first guest, and he's here. So we've got some icebreaker questions, ones that we did not prepare him for. So take a deep breath.
Listen, this is a kid-friendly show, so you just got to control the language.
That's right.
I'll try.
So mine was, I wanted you to tell us and friends kind of just about how you would characterize your journey to emotional health, like the journey you've been on, even the last 2, 3, 4 years.
Oh my. I mean, it probably starts with a lot of your promptings in my life, things that I screw up, get way out of place, and you calmly and collectively nudge me in a more healthy direction, I guess I would say.
Calmly. Wow. That's a big compliment.
So, most of the time. Most of the time.
Okay.
Most,
We value honesty here,
So-
Steve.
and then probably the more focused or formal part of that was probably two things. Is number one, being introduced to the book Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown and walking through that. And then number two, my time with Jamie George when it comes to life coaching and that, and just a lot of the questions that he asked me and things that he did that made me think in that direction and helped me out.
Would you say it's been worth it?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
I'd say it's been worth it as your partner, wife, and front row seat to your growth. It's been pretty spectacular to watch you as a middle-aged guy who is like me, kind of has strong opinions, but still be willing to be humble, grow in self-awareness, and change and adapt and rethink things in order to connect and maintain good holistic relationships with the broader community around you. So that's been fun to watch.
Well, and I think too, not even just the Jamie George life coaching, it's also been the podcast and hearing a lot of different voices and a lot of different people saying a lot of the same things when it comes to emotional health, and guys as old or older than me that are also working through change in their lives and being willing to be curious, and the types of things that y'all talk about all the time.
What would you say to somebody who says that the Morning Share podcast is only for women?
I would think that anybody of any age can grow emotionally, can grow in relationships. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all about relationship with your own self and relationship with other people in your close circle, and then the broader relationships. And I don't think there's probably any age or any gender that would rather not have good relationships. So
That's good.
I would say it applies to everybody.
Yeah.
Good. We think so too. So you're a really engaged listener. We've had ongoing conversations with you before we began this. And then particularly we knew that the episode on routines and rhythms and habits was going to be super impactful for you, as well as this is something we've really seen in your life that's been effective. It's the way you operate in a lot of ways. So I think we wanted to have a conversation with you about not just like specifically what your routines are, but kind of the effect that they have on your mind, body, soul, and what they produce in you throughout your week.
Before we get into routines, Keith, who are you?
Oh my gosh.
Who is Keith really?
Who are you?
Oh gosh. And my immediate thought is to start telling you what I do,
Yeah.
which I know that's not right. That's not the right. I know that's not
It's not
the right
right. It's
answer.
revealing.
So I guess I'll try and mix some doing and some being. I feel like that, from the time I was little or through my growing up age, I mean, I've always tried to be dependable. That I absolutely cannot stand telling somebody I will be somewhere at a particular time or get something done by this time and not do it. I mean, I will do whatever I have to. So dependability, I think security, which I know goes along with control. I think order, being a CPA and all the work that I do with numbers and stuff, I'm drawn to things that I can organize and that I can order. I think loyalty is a big part of who I am. I think faith is a big part of who I am and how I, kind of run my everyday life. Those are the things I can think of off the top of my head. And as far as who I am when it comes to what I do, obviously I'm married to the amazing Angela, and we have 6 kids and 5 on the planet. And I take that role very seriously, even though there are a lot of times that I feel like I drop the ball on that. But it's huge part of, I think it's a huge part not only of myself, but my entire extended family is big family, doing things together, experiences, living life and doing life together. And then also those who we call family, who are our friends, who are part of the family as well, including Dee and her family. And so that's a big part of who we are. I'm a sports nut, big Tennessee Titans fan. And when she mentioned the Houston Texans the other day, I just wanted to throw up.
Did you stop the episode?
Well, I just I did not do a screenshot on that one. And I was never planning on going back to it.
So in light of those things that you just said about who you are, when in your normal day do you feel most, you said dependable, most secure, even though that's part of control, most orderly, most grounded in your relationships in your family? Like, when is that in your day that you feel that way?
Well, I mean, the first part of the day is definitely a part of the day that I feel most myself, because most of my days, once it's 9 o'clock, anytime after that, I have no idea what my day might look like, between getting calls, having meetings, just all the things that come up during the day that I don't have any control over at all. So a lot of times in a normal week, I will have a couple of days a week that I have tons of meetings, and then I do have a couple of days a week where I work from home. And so early in the morning or during those days, when I have lots more control over what I'm doing, getting things done, and being able to order my day exactly the way I want to, are definitely the days that I feel more like myself.
So what would you say helps create that environment for you?
I mean, I think it's just the peace and the calm. I think even as I get older, in fact, one of the words that Brene Brown, one of the emotion words that she uses, is tranquil. And I have begun to love that word. And obviously, I even have that more, let's say, on the weekend, or when I get away with Angela up to the mountains or something like that. But it's just that peace of things are quiet. And again, just the ability to order things the way I want. I mean, there are honestly days that I might wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I can't go back to sleep, so I start working. But I may work or do what I want to do for a couple of hours, and then I may go get in my easy chair and lay back for about 10 or 15 minutes just to shut my eyes.
Don't go crazy, Keith.
Just to
10 or 15.
Just to,
I thought you were going to say like a couple hours.
No, I mean, there's
I'm
something.
still hung up on easy chair. What are we, 80? Not recliner.
My recliner, okay.
Lazy boy.
No, I mean, there's something about being able to lay back, close my eyes, and just shut everything out. And the funny thing is sometimes I will just kind of drift off and then wake back up, or sometimes like I'll have the thought, like I'll think of 2 or 3 things that, why hadn't I thought about that before, related to a problem that I'm trying to solve or an issue that I'm going through. Sometimes just shutting your eyes and taking a few minutes is amazing for the thought processes.
Yes, absolutely.
So would you also say that kind of pause is the same, but in a longer format when you go walk at the lake?
Somewhat. I mean, sometimes it is, and sometimes, to be honest with you, just as a escape or trying to get away from things. And because I'm such a sports fan, walking out there, it does 2 or 3 things. It obviously gives me exercise. It allows me to get out in nature where I'm, able to see the lake and see all the things that are going on, hear the birds, whatever. But then also sometimes I'm listening to sports talk, finding out about what's going on in the sports world. So it's almost an escape. It takes me away from the real world for a little while. Yeah. So
it looks like we're diving right into your actual routine. So why don't you take a moment and just talk about, or maybe list your most essential routines right now?
So, probably my most essential are kind of more like a weekly basis than a daily basis as far as the way I set things up. Um, uh, as far as walking and running and that type of thing, I do that like 3 times a week, a couple times during the week, and then at least one day on the weekend. Probably the number one thing on my weekly routine is either Thursday or Friday morning when I usually take, I mean, it could take me anywhere from an hour to 2 hours to put together my schedule or my framework for what I want to get done or the things I want to do the next week. And that kind of schedule includes both work type stuff, but then it also includes family stuff. It includes, household type chores, getting those types of things done. Just the whole gamut.
So you use your scheduling as a way to build in the opportunity to shift things around
Sure.
as
Yep. Absolutely.
things come up.
Mm.
I've got one follow-up question for this section of planning.
Okay.
What do you think planning gives you that you wouldn't have without it?
Order, first of all. I mean, so part of that planning too, when I'm putting together the list, I'm not just throwing everything on that day. I'm purposely moving the highest priority things that I absolutely know I have to get done that day are usually going to the top of that list. And then I can adjust from there.
So security,
Order,
stability.
security, stability.
Mhm.
Yep. I was listening to an Art of Manliness podcast about, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, and they had a guy on there that was talking about what he calls the miracle morning. Now, it could be anywhere from 6 minutes to an hour or more if you'd like to, but he has 5 or 6 things that he did every single day. And he tried to do each one of them anywhere from 1 minute to 3 minutes to 10 minutes. And so the very first thing that he starts out with is just breathing, which actually I had already started doing that as part of the growth and Angela's input in my life and all that type of stuff. But it's just taking time to take about 10 deep breaths. And then part of that as well for me was the gratitude portion where starting the day just being thankful for something. Sometimes it's just looking around my office and being like, okay, what in here can I be thankful for? There's a million things you can be thankful for. So just finding something that morning. And then the next thing is uh, affirmation, which this one is really weird and hard for me for sure, but it was just going to find some affirmations even online for just things about who I am in my age in life and the things that I know that I'm good at, but have always felt like it was weird to tell myself that, but I'm becoming more and more comfortable with it now. And so that's take a couple minutes and just do things like that. Then the third part is visualization. And so I like to have looked at my to-do list / calendar before I do the visualization, because the part of that is visualizing what you want your day to look like in a perfect world, what that would look like, how it would affect the other people in your life. And so just taking a couple minutes to visualize, this is what I'd love for my day to look like. And sometimes it has to do with work. Sometimes it has to do with family life, relationships, and sometimes it has to do with all of that, but it's just doing that together.
That's a good question
Uh-huh.
about that.
Yep.
Has there been a time where you have visualized your day?
And it's gone nothing like I visualized it.
Well, yes. Yeah. And
Of
then
course.
do you find yourself going back to that moment? Like, what does the visualization of your day, does it help center you, recenter you later when it doesn't go as planned?
Maybe. I mean, I think more than anything, it early in the day, it probably helps me to realize what is truly the most important, because I get so wrapped up in all the little tasks and the million things I think I have to get done. And then, maybe that night we have a date night with one of our kids and their spouse. And then knowing that's on our list, then I'm like, okay, all those other things are I need to get them done, but at the end of the day, it's probably most important that we have a good night with our kids or something like that. I mean, I think that's what it helps me to do, probably
So
more than
it's
anything.
perspective and priority.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So it kind of serves as a reorienter.
Correct.
To kind of focus. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And then the last thing is exercising, moving for just a few minutes. It doesn't have to be anything major. It could be jumping rope. It could be doing some jumping jacks. It could be using the medicine ball or some bands or whatever. But it's just like taking 3 to 5 minutes to move and do something. And so just it starts your day that way. So that's what the miracle morning looks like.
Wow.
So what do you think that the routines that we've talked about today for you specifically, what do you think those routines give you internally? Like how have they helped you internally?
I think they give me calm. I think they give me like a sense of satisfaction, a sense of purpose, maybe a little bit. Especially the being type exercises give me a sense of peace.
Well, maybe like a reminder that you are a human being, not just a human doing.
Sure. Yeah,
right? Maybe they serve as just a reminder that when all the tasks go away or are taken away, which we all know somebody who, for whatever reason, has just experienced where all the things that they used to do are no longer possible for whatever reason, that you're still a human being. And so you've cultivated, I think you've worked really hard over the last 12 to 15 months to really be intentional about cultivating that inner space that isn't solely dependent upon what you do, but it's who you are.
Well, I think too, it probably builds my faith more than I think of, because there is a part of me that has to say, okay, even if I take this time and I'm not doing anything and I'm not completing these tasks early in the morning when it's my most productive time of the day, I'm taking this time to be, and then I see that I'm still able to get all the other stuff done at some level, then it's building that faith that says, see, yes, this is a beneficial, this is a profitable thing, even if you're not necessarily getting items checked off your checklist or getting what you would consider work done.
And how would you say that cultivating kind of this inner man, this inner being of who Keith is, has helped you connect with other people better? You said you were relational. So how has that kind of helped you connect?
I mean, I think it's probably helped me to realize, even more so than normal, the importance of relationship, and probably the importance of like closer relationships, not just surface level. And as well, I mean, the other thing that y'all repeat over and over again is the curiosity factor. Because if I'm being curious about myself, it allows me to be more curious about other people, I think.
So when you imagine yourself 5 years from now, or 10, do you think your routines will look similar, or do you think your relation to them will feel different?
I think so, unless in retirement we're staying up real late partying or something all the time. And so I got to get some extra sleep somehow. So,
well, I feel like just even hearing you articulate it today, I've never really thought about it this way before, is that I feel like your routines, though they're necessarily not the way I would orient my day, they're for you, they're catered toward you, they're specific for you, but to the end that you can be intentional,
right,
with everything you do.
Yep.
Sure.
Today it was for the first time I think I saw you in describing your routines, that there is such intentionality in that stuff past, and it's intentionality of who you are being and what you are doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a little bit too, it's a counterbalance, because I know myself well, and I know that I can easily forget not only to-do list items, but also like relationships when I get so involved in my day-to-day work life or whatever else. And so, I mean, if you remember back years ago, I used to have what I called super dates with the kids. And literally I put it on the calendar that once a month I would schedule that with one of the kids, because again, I know myself so well, and I know that if I didn't do that, I mean, again, it's the same thing with weekly dates that we have. If I didn't do that, it's not that I wouldn't love spending time with them. It's just I would get so focused on what I was doing that I would completely forget about it. And so I think all that, I mean, I have so many items. Like if you look at my Outlook calendar, it's nuts. People would think, oh my gosh, you've got the entire day booked up all the time. And the fact is I don't. I just have my to-do list items on there because you can set it to do once a quarter or once a week or whatever else, and all those things are on there. And it's nuts, but it's really a counterbalance to the fact that I know I'll forget a lot of things if I don't.
So really the routines are helping you protect what you value.
Probably, yeah.
Because I think when we were thinking about this, or sometimes it could come across more as someone who's super routine and super disciplined, or like they're doing it to feel like I'm worth, like to prove their worth. But I think what is really being revealed is that you have that to protect the things that you value most.
That makes sense. And the funny thing is too, is if you saw me with that calendar, there are so many items that, I don't get it to this week, so it moves to next week. And there's some items that I have been having on that to-do list for literally years and years that just keep moving to next week, to next week, to next week. It's just because all the other things get in the way and they're more important. So, we'll get it done at some point, and maybe we don't. But if we don't, it's not the end of the world.
It's good.
So for anybody out there who's listening today and they feel overwhelmed and disconnected and kind of their routines aren't maybe as well organized, but even their routines are kind of just running them instead of them running their routines and leveraging their routines, what would you say to somebody who just wants to take one small step today?
I think just taking that time once a week to lay out the next week of your life to show what's important and what you really have to get done. That's the number one thing that I probably would say is most important in my routines.
We're thankful that you scheduled us in today.
Yes.
I did.
So, well, it's been a joy to watch you on your journey, as well as to be married to you and to have you as the first official conversation on the Morning Share.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to share, and not just like a list, but vulnerably.
Thanks for having me on.
Well,
we did it.
that was awesome.
It was awesome.
He was awesome. He is
Yeah.
awesome.
He is. I'm glad he's my husband. Yeah, for all the wild and crazy talks we have, like in our actual house, to be able to now see him a little bit nervous, like we were to begin with.
Oh, yeah,
And kind of, you said he had to sit in the hot seat.
Yeah.
That kind of made him more nervous. But yeah, he did great.
Yeah.
He did great, and so insightful into what he had to say about how his mind works and his journey, and I appreciate that.
What was one moment for you that stood out, or maybe that surprised you or caught you off guard?
I think really hearing him articulate the doing and the being thing, which is huge. And I think that's really big for a lot of people, but especially men. We've heard that on repeat from men in our community and in our lives, that they have a really hard time distinguishing who they are outside of what they do.
Right.
And so I've been on that journey and had a front row seat to Keith's journey into that. So to hear him now articulating his intentionality in the mornings about trying to center himself in who he is.
Yeah.
And still sometimes get wrapped up in what he's doing, but I think make that distinction. I think that can only be a good thing long term.
Mm-hmm.
So what about you?
I think it was just the moment I realized that I think I had wrongly assumed that the to-do list that's a mile long and all the things scheduled on the calendar and the things he talks about were his way of feeling successful. Mm-hmm. And I think it is part of that. Like, when we measure things, or when we give ourselves measurable actions, then we feel successful. But I think what he revealed is that it protects the things that he values most in life. Mm-hmm. And that is the why.
Yeah. Hearing him be able to articulate the why, not just the what.
Yes.
Because everybody's what looks different. How you use your routine, how we operate in this world, how we express who we are inside to the world is as different probably as everybody on the planet.
Yeah.
We may have some commonalities in how we do things, and there are some processes that people may adopt, but at the end of the day, it is still like his way that allows him, it's a conduit to let him express himself in the world.
I was just thinking of the way we could say it simply would be figure out your why and do the what that protects it.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Say that again.
Figure out the why.
Yeah.
And then do the what to protect it.
Wow. Yeah. That would be alignment.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing how we just come around the circle again. We can't overemphasize that this, at the end of the day, I think this is where it's at. It's at the intersection of who I am and what I do.
Yeah.
Because I still maintain that if you only base your existence, your identity on the roles that you play, on what you do, when those roles are either taken from you or are change, then you're really struggling. You're not able to adapt. Where is underneath all that, if you know your why, if you know this is who I am, this is why I show up in this way, then the whats can change. So yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. He is such an advocate for us, and we show up on his schedule, and we're the beneficiaries of his scheduled way of listening to the podcast.
We hope you have enjoyed our first guest, and we look forward to many more.
Yep.